Here we're going to be working on a Nintendo Switch motherboard. We actually have 3 of them on my bench here, but I picked the one that looks the best. Maybe we can do this one quick. The console does power on and you're able to use it, but it does not charge. 0 amps being drawn when we try to charge this console. So we're going to check a couple of things to see why this console does not charge. Meter in diode mode. And we can start with this guy here. Reading good. We can start testing the caps for the M92, no shorts. We can test this guy here, and this one can go bad because of the M92 or because of the P13 chip that sits on back of the board. And what about this one? So we do not have a short anywhere on the M92. And if we go over the BQ chip, do we have any shorts here? None. So we're gonna assume that the BQ is good, and also our M92 chip is good. Just quick physical inspection without spending too much time. And as you can see, the board looks excellent. It's in excellent condition and it was not tampered with before. Front of the board is intact. And if we look on back of the board, we do not see anything unusual. Someone in the comments will mention this dot. It's nothing. All right, so excellent. The board is in excellent condition. So what is causing the no charge? Right now, the biggest suspect is the USB-C port. It looks physically good. Pins, they look good. But it could have internal issues. Let's look at the port from the inside. I mean, I do not see any physical damage onto that port, but right now we do not have much options left. So right now what I want to do is use the test board, the USB-C test board. I just want to go over the pins quick and see if we see anything obvious. I went over this test board in a previous video, and I went over some good numbers that we should be reading when testing the points on this board. And the title of the video was Nintendo Switch Diagnostic using USB-C test board. So right now I plugged the test board onto the USB-C port, and let's go ahead and measure some points on there to see if we see anything obvious. Meter in diode mode. Okay, A12 should read ground. This one should not have any reading, no reading. This one should be around 0.519 and I'm reading 0.508. This one should be 0.4. Oh, look at this. This one here should read around 0.49 and we are reading a short. A8 should not be short into ground. Let's continue. A7 should be somewhere around 0.7, 0.8. This is good. This is good. This one should not read anything. Good. I'm just looking at the numbers. This should be ground and this should be ground. So right now when I'm taking measurements, I'm looking at the numbers that I wrote down from last time, and I'm quickly comparing the numbers to see if there's a big change. And right now the biggest change that I found is on A8. A8 is reading a short. It's reading a short and it's fluctuating actually between 0.1 to 0.09, and that's why you hear it beep and then not hear it beep. It's fluctuating up and down. So we have a problem on A8. So which pin is A8? If we put one probe on A8 and meter in continuity mode, we do not know if that pin is visible from the front or if it's a hidden pin under that connector. Right there. So that's A8. A8 is right here, and this is via that connects to the back of the board. So A8 is connecting somewhere back of the board. So it's possible that we have a problem with our USB-C port, or it could be that we have a problem back of the board. What's on back of the board? I mean, it could be any one of those traces here. So right now I think I'm gonna remove the port and then see if we still have a short on A8. What I'm going to do to make our life easier, we're gonna apply low melt solder on the back. Fume extractor on, and let's apply low melt solder so we can easily desolder this connector without having to apply a lot of heat onto the board, because this connector can be removed without adding low melt solder, but you're going to be applying a lot of heat onto the board, and the board itself must reach melting temperature of the solder in order to be able to remove this connector. So why put a lot of heat on this board, on a good working functional board, and risk something happening? I've done it in two ways. In one of the videos I removed the port without using low melt solder, but the board does take a lot of heat to remove that port. Just a tiny bit of low melt goes a long way. Now we're gonna go to the front, apply some flux. Now we were able to apply low melt solder onto the legs, and we're gonna apply low melt solder onto the front legs or front pins, but we cannot apply low melt solder onto the hidden pins that are under the connector. So we have to be careful when pulling that connector, because we have to keep in mind that the pins that are under the connector, we cannot reach them. We cannot apply low melt solder onto them. But usually it doesn't take a lot of heat to desolder the front pins. It does, however, take a lot of heat to desolder the legs, and we already applied low melt solder onto the legs. Right, so now all we have to do is apply a little bit of hot air, and we should be able to desolder this connector. So without wasting too much time, let's start. I mean, look at this. Look, solder already liquefied from here, but we're just waiting for the hidden pins to liquefy, and we do not want to force it. I'm just slightly tapping on it. See? It fell off by itself. We did not force it. So let's flip the board. And we're gonna test A8. Where is A8? And look at that, the short is gone. The short is gone on A8. So you see, that was a USB-C connector issue. Let's go ahead and replace the port. And now we're gonna pre-apply solder onto those pads. The reason we're gonna pre-apply solder now is because we're gonna refloat that connector down in place. Just like that. We soaked all those pins with solder. And we're gonna use a brand new USB-C connector, of course. Now we're gonna refloat that connector down, and then we're gonna solder the back legs. Some people ask, why don't you apply heat from the bottom? I can do it from the top or bottom. If you want to do it from the bottom, do it from the bottom. I want to do it from the top. Because in order to apply heat from the bottom, we have to extend that board beyond our bench, and we are put in an awkward position. So I apply heat from the top whenever I can. For heat sensitive connectors, I do it from the bottom. Like maybe Nintendo Switch LCD connector or an SD connector, I do it from the bottom. I have the connector a little bit pressed down, so the camera went out of focus for a bit. And we should be good. Solid, solid. And we just did a better than factory job. Let's go ahead and solder the legs on the back. Sometimes I get comments like, you apply too much flux. I mean, we are working under a microscope. It looks like it's a lot of flux, but I do not know why people are concerned if I apply a lot of flux or do not apply a lot of flux. Nobody's paying for my flux. I can apply as much as I want. And what you see here is not a lot. It's only a tiny drop, but it looks like it's a lot under the microscope. I mean, this is a size 201 component right here. 201 size SMD component. We are dealing with microscopic components, and the flux is just a tiny drop. And we're gonna do this one. And finally, we're gonna do this one. And we are done. Nice. Just add it on top of the 100 other GPUs that we have. Expedited. Every single one of them is expedited. Let's plug this in. And we're gonna test A8 and see what's going on. Meter in diode mode. And very good. Very nice. We do not have a short anymore. All we have to do is plug a battery in and see if it charges. I mean, look at those legs, the joints. Soldering is perfect. Mercedes key. All right, just put it over the 6 million keys that we have on the bench here, and hopefully we'll get to it soon. All right. Very nice. Look at those nice joints. Very nice. Everything is nice and clean. Fume extractor off, and okay, so we tried the board and it's still the same problem. We had a short before and now we do not have a short after we replaced the connector, but the board is still not taking a charge. I mean, previously having a short on A8 of that test board could be a lot of things. It could be the M92 chip, it could be the P13 chip, it could be a lot of things. I know from experience that M92 fails a lot on this board, so I think my next step would be to replace M92 and see what happens. Just a tiny bit of flux. We're gonna replace the chip. We do not have a short anywhere around the chip, but I know the chip fails a lot on switches, so I'm gonna start with this one. I mean, this one is gonna be a tough one to figure out because a lot of things could cause the problem. And if it wasn't for that USB-C test board, I would not know that there's a short on that particular pin. So it's really a priceless tool. A priceless, cheap board. It's only $5. You can purchase it off our website. I mean, a lot of you already know, and a lot of you are already customers, but I keep mentioning this for all new users. One customer commented, because a lot of times I mention what we have for sale on our site, and he said, I feel like I'm watching one of those shopping channels. A lot of people support the channel by donating. A lot of people support the channel by commenting, liking, sharing. A lot of people support the channel with a good word of mouth. And majority, they support the channel by buying stuff off our site. I mean, I spend a lot of time making those videos. It takes a lot of time, and a lot of people, they appreciate the time spent to create such content. I really thank each and every one of you who support the channel in one way or another. Like I said, whether it's a word of mouth, a simple comment, a simple like, or if you sent a device here for repair, or if you purchased off our site, all that is a form of support. And that's why our business flourished. Because of you. Sometimes I stay up till 3 o'clock just to edit and upload a video. And I do this every single day. Almost every single day. I mean, I feel bad sometimes because when I go home, I should spend it with the family, and I do. But I play with the kids for like an hour, hour and a half, and back of my head, I'm thinking I should start editing and uploading that video. And I'm sitting on the computer editing, and my daughter comes to me and tells me good night, she's going to sleep, and I feel bad. So I leave everything and I go sleep with her for a bit until she falls asleep, and I continue working on the video. I mean, being successful is a lot of work. It's a lot of work. We have a lot of business, we have a lot of customers, not just because I was born like that. It takes a lot of work. When I have somebody that tells me, lucky you, you have a lot of customers. And my lucky day is when I have one customer. On one side, I feel bad for that person, and on the other side, I know that that person should work harder, because hard work does pay off. You just have to be patient. Just like somebody who wants to start a YouTube channel. They want it to grow from 0 to 100,000 in 1 week. And they don't have the patience. They upload the first video, the second video, the third video, the 20th video. They're not getting any views, and they just give up. It doesn't work like that. You're not going to get any views because nobody knows your channel. Just keep uploading quality content and people will eventually come across your channel. I started with nothing, 0 subscribers, of course. I got help from nobody. And the channel is doing very good. It's actually doing a lot better than channels with a lot more subscribers. And the job is done here. And one way to find out, we have to plug a battery and see if that console will charge. Let me see if I can grab a battery and I'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and grabbed the battery and we'll test to see if this battery will now take a charge. And I have our USB-C charging cable here along with the amp meter that should light up if this board will take a charge. Yes. Yes. 15 volts at 0. What happened? Okay. 15 volts at 0.8 amps being drawn by the amp meter. Awesome. 0.85, 0.83. Awesome. Awesome. One more time. 15 volts at 0.8 amps. The job is done. The console is fixed. So a short on the A8 pad of the test board led us to replacing the charging port and the chip. I mean, there was no clear indication to what was wrong with the board, but I just took an educated guess based on my measurements on the board. We did not have a short anywhere on that board. So the first thing that I thought was, let me remove that port and solder another one and see if the short will be fixed. And the short was fixed, but the board was still not charging after the replacement. So I took another educational guess and replaced the M92 chip, and that fixed the problem. Now, if the M92 chip did not fix the problem, then probably the next thing I would go to is the P13 chip, because the P13 chip also works hand in hand with the USB-C port. So that could be a suspect. Maybe I'll change the BQ chip afterwards. The BQ chip is also very important, but the fact that I did not find any short anywhere next to the BQ chip led me to believe that the problem is not the BQ chip. The good thing is the problem is now fixed. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll do something else in the next video.